Things are heating up in and around the Strait of Hormuz. Past 48 hours, an Indian-flagged ship was sunk off the coast of Oman. Another vessel seized off the UAE coast and taken to Iran. The U.S. Navy remains on high alert as tensions continue to escalate. It comes as Iran is grappling with overflowing oil supply as the U.S. tightens its blockade.
There's no activity there. They're having to ration electricity. And we're even seeing these weird oil slicks in the Gulf as if they're dumping oil.
President Trump said Friday he's still pushing for a diplomatic solution, but time could be running out. He just rejected another Iranian proposal because there was no guarantee the country would give up its nuclear program.
I call it the nuclear dust. I want to get it. And they agreed to it, but then they took it back, but they'll agree to it eventually.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi agreed the nuclear issue is the main sticking point at the moment. He says the idea of Iran giving up its enrichment is, quote, not under negotiation at this time. But he also claims the differences go even deeper than that, and President Trump's social media activity is making it harder to get a deal.
We have no trust to Americans. This is a fact. Every day is different from the other day, from yesterday. A tweet today is different from yesterday's tweet.
On Friday, officials here in the UAE announced they're building a second oil pipeline to bypass the Strait of Hormuz and double export capacity beginning next year. In Dubai, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
After a high-stakes meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, President Trump now on his way back to D.C. A major focus of the summit, Iran.
He feels strongly they can't have a nuclear weapon. Said that very strongly. They cannot have a nuclear weapon, and he wants them to open up the strait.
China has great sway over Tehran, buying more than 90% of Iran's crude oil exports.
It's useful to them because the Iranian regime makes life difficult for the United States. And while it is true that I think Xi would like to have the strait open, I think that's true. He'd like to have that oil. Yeah, he also wants to make sure that he doesn't lose his foothold in the Middle East, which is this regime in Iran.
Trump and Xi also discussed a potential conflict, Taiwan, a self-governing island Chinese leaders claim is their territory.
Xi said that if the U.S. crosses China's red lines on Taiwan, there could be a conflict between us. That's meant to intimidate.
President Trump told reporters he has not decided whether to allow a proposed $14 billion weapons sale to Taiwan.
I think the last thing we need right now is a war. That's 9,500 miles away.
He also refused to answer questions about whether the U.S. would defend Taiwan from invasion.
There's only one person that knows that. You know who it is? Me.
President Trump also said China has agreed to buy at least 200 airplanes from Boeing, and he has invited Xi to the White House in September. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Jerome Powell leaves a complicated legacy as he steps down as head of the Federal Reserve on Friday. He battled inflation and fought with President Donald Trump to protect the Fed's independence. It was an eventful 8 years. Quick intervention by Powell, by slashing interest rates and pouring money into the financial system, may have prevented what could have been an economic catastrophe when COVID hit the United States. But he and his colleagues were slow to recognize the growing inflation threat as the economy rebounded from the pandemic. Inflation reached levels not seen in 40 years, and Americans were furious about having to pay more at the supermarket and the department store. The Fed eventually changed course and delivered a rarity in economic policy making, a so-called soft landing. Powell raised rates 11 times in 2022 and 2023, and the economy did not crumble. It boomed instead. Powell's most important fight was with the President of the United States. Trump demanded that the Fed slash interest rates to support the economy, even though inflation remained above the Fed's 2% target. Powell wouldn't budge, insisting the Fed would make interest rate decisions based on economic data and not in response to political pressure. In an unusual move, Powell is staying on at the Fed even after his term as chairman ends. He's going to stay on the board, he says, because he wants to protect the Fed's independence from political pressure. His term as a Fed governor will end in 2028.
It was not even a body there. It wasn't a body to be found. Literally, when you looked at it, they had dismembered this young man, set his body on fire.
A 12-person search party was organized last night by family members of the missing teen, but police aren't yet able to confirm if it was Mark Rumpf Jr.
The remains that we found, we cannot positively ID, so they have not been positively ID'd yet, due to the fact that the body was dismembered and burnt.
The party was out by White Oak Church Road in Eufaula for 2 hours using ATVs, drones, and a hound dog to search the area.
If you think about the worst horror movie you ever seen, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's what this road is.
Eufaula police responded to the scene shortly after the discovery before closing it off and beginning the investigation.
The brother saw the body, the mother saw the body, the father saw the body. I don't know if I'll ever be the same.
And like I said, as a father, I can't say I wouldn't have done the same thing with family members, but on our side, you know, we still have to do things legally and we have to follow our process and procedures, and that's what we're doing.
Eufaula police are leading the investigation with help from the Barber County Sheriff's Office and the State Bureau of Investigation.
We do have suspects, and my message to them is if you did this or had anything to do with it, this sick, horrific crime, we're coming for you. We're going to find you.
The number of people in the U.S. the CDC is monitoring for hantavirus has gone up.
There are currently 41 people across the U.S. that are under monitoring.
That includes an additional 16 who were not on the cruise. They were on an April flight from Johannesburg with a woman who was infected on the ship and later died.
You may ask why CDC is not using our federal quarantining authority on people. Our approach is based on risk and evidence. We are working closely with passengers and public health partners to ensure monitoring and rapid access to care if symptoms develop.
Fox spoke to a doctor who flew on board the transport plane from Spain to Nebraska's National Quarantine Unit. He says there were two 23,000-pound containers brought on board through the nose of the plane, essentially mini intensive care units specially designed to allow negative airflow so healthcare providers could be available to patients.
I honestly do not think about the transmissibility of the pathogen. That is what I'm thinking about is maintaining those procedures.
So far, there has been no ongoing transmission of the virus detected anywhere in the world. In Australia, 6 people who were on board the cruise ship at the center of the hantavirus outbreak arrived home Friday. They must now stay in a 3-week quarantine at a secure facility originally built for the COVID-19 pandemic.
We are determined to ensure there is no risk at all of any transmission of this virus into the Australian community.
Because of hantavirus's long incubation period of 6 to 8 weeks, some experts say more cases could trickle in. In New York, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
Дуже радий вас чути. Я в Україні, я вдома, мам.
President Xi and I talked a lot about Taiwan. He thinks they cannot have anything to do with what they're doing. I mean, he's against very much what they're doing. We talked about Taiwan. We talked about Iran a lot, and I think we have a very good understanding with both. On Taiwan, he does not want to see a fight for independence because that would be a very strong confrontation. And I heard him out.
Are you going to say your word?
No, I didn't make a comment on it. I heard him out. I have a lot of respect for him. But on Taiwan, he feels very strongly. I made no commitment either way. We'll see what happens.
What about the arms sales to Taiwan?
I'll make a determination over the next fairly short period.
Well, you're not necessarily going to go ahead. It was your proposal.
I'm going to make a determination. I'm going to see. I have to speak to the person that right now is, you know who he is, that's running Taiwan.
So Memorial Day is right around the corner, And AAA is forecasting more than 1.3 million Michiganders will travel for that holiday period. The majority of them will be hitting the roadways, so the roadways will definitely be busy this Memorial Day. Yeah, so gas prices across Michigan are up. Actually, as of today, Michigan's gas prices are the highest we've seen so far this year. It's on the mind of drivers' ways to save on gas. And a recent survey that AAA did, we found that about 47% of Michigan drivers say they are riding their vehicle on very low fuel.
I could definitely understand how people would be reluctant to fill up their tank, particularly if they're happen to be at a station where the price is not the best. So they may want to skimp on not filling all the way up, but you have to be careful about not running out of gas. I can see some potential hazards to running the tank completely empty, whether it's a quarter or an eighth or a 16th even. I have trouble seeing any danger to that. I think the idea is to keep an eye on making sure you don't run dry.
Private equity firms, including Blackstone and CD&R, are exploring bids for Magnum Ice Cream Company, the parent of Ben & Jerry's. The news was first reported by Reuters and comes less than 6 months after Magnum was spun off from Unilever. It also comes a month after Ben & Jerry's co-founder Ben Cohen said he wanted Magnum to sell Ben & Jerry's, claiming Magnum was interfering with the brand's stance on social and global issues. At the time, Magnum said Ben & Jerry's was not for sale. More than 125,000 children's tower stools are being recalled. The Consumer Product Safety Commission announced the recall, which covers 2 models sold under the Cozyland brand. The reason for the recall, the stools could collapse or tip over while in use, and a child's torso could fit through some of the openings. There are 25 reports of issues with the stools, resulting in 8 injuries ranging from scrapes and contusions to a fractured arm. Consumers are advised to contact Cozyland for repair parts. $9,100,000. That's the winning bid for a private lunch with Warren Buffett and Steph Curry. The money benefits the San Francisco-based Glide Foundation homeless charity and the Eat, Learn, Play Foundation, which was established by Curry and his wife. The lunch will take place in June in Buffett's hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. That's business. CJ Papa, Fox News.
In the U.S., it's estimated that 1 in 5 adults live with a mental illness. Despite its prevalence, many go undiagnosed and untreated.
It can be really difficult for people to admit that they're struggling.
Dr. Kathleen Mueller with the American Academy of Family Physicians says mental health and well-being is just as important as physical health, and they're closely linked. For example, depression increases risk for health conditions like diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. And having a chronic physical condition can also make it more likely for a mental health illness to develop.
This is something that we need to address regularly, without stigma, without barriers. And so your family physician is the place to start.
Early warning signs of mental health conditions include eating or sleeping too much or too little, pulling away from people and usual activities, having low or no energy, feeling numb, unexplained aches and pains, feeling helpless or hopeless, persistent thoughts or memories that won't stop, inability to perform daily tasks, or thoughts of harming yourself or others. Mueller says your primary care or family doctor can help come up with a strategy to help you manage symptoms.
Maybe some increased movement, maybe some dietary changes, maybe just having a conversation, perhaps connecting with a therapist, but sometimes it just stays right there in that room. And then we do a follow-up and we check in and we make sure people are doing okay.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Los nombres más importantes de la música country suben al escenario este fin de semana en los premios de la Academy of Country Music. La anfitriona de este año es la legendaria Shania Twain, quien dice que quiere hacer que los intérpretes se sientan relajados y cómodos.
Puede llegar a ser estresante para los nominados y los artistas, así que siento que mi papel es el de representar la diversión, un buen momento y animarlo.
Los premios ACM en su edición 61 se transmiten en vivo desde Las Vegas este domingo por Prime Video. Ben Stiller sigue muy ocupado. El actor y director protagonizará la película de Netflix A Matter of Time. Trata sobre un ángel inesperado que es enviado para convencer a un hombre solitario de sacrificar su vida por el bien de la sociedad. Aún no hay fecha de estreno para el proyecto. Para el Hollywood Minute, soy Berta Ramos.
Go back to a time where summers lasted forever, when friendships were unbreakable, and any trouble was good trouble.
No, this is not a trailer for a lost John Hughes film. It's for the video game Mixtape.
From Beethoven and Dinosaur comes an adventure, a lifetime in the making.
Mixtape is a video game, and it's about three teenagers on their last night of high school. They're going to the last party together and listening to the greatest mixtape of all time, which has got Joy Division and The Cure and Alice Coltrane and Devo, my favorite band in the whole world.
Experience the freedom of the teenage wasteland.
It was like not just wanted to be about what it looked or sounded like to be a teenager, but back then, but also what it felt like, and that was like the thing we really try and capture with the visuals and the music and also the gameplay itself.
What are we gonna think of ourselves in 10 years? I'll just remember to tell myself it felt important at the time.
Mixtape is out now on PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch 2, PC, and Xbox consoles. Leveling up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
A beachside fashion show in Australia went viral, not for its cutting-edge couture, but instead for a random dude that just casually crashed the runway. Video showed the beachgoer, whose look could be described as dad bod mod or oblivious bloke bespoke, sauntering down some steps that just so happened to be the runway for the brand Commas during an Australia Fashion Week event. He then enjoyed some surfside fun in the sun, and despite not being associated with the event, was captured by paparazzi and ultimately lauded by social media viewers as an icon and a legend. And from a not necessarily fashionable photo bomber to bird bombers from above. Watch concerned Falcon parents dive bomb a California researcher just trying to do her job. That job was tagging newborn peregrine falcon chicks that recently hatched on the roof of the San Jose City Hall. According to KGO, researchers say peregrine falcon populations are facing a steep decline due to avian flu, so tagging newly hatched chicks like these are part of a greater Bay Area effort to track and support the precious peregrine population. But the big birds don't know that, so you can forgive them for a little hostile helicopter parenting. Finally, no crashing occurred, thankfully, in a unique traffic situation that unfolded in a Colorado crosswalk involving police and a big fat stubborn beaver. The pudgy pedestrian was moving like molasses, and once Firestone officers got involved, the beav got peeved, and it turned into a mid-street standoff that was solved only when they used a traffic cone to encourage the buck-toothed traveler to get to stepping. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Everybody knows that she's a Braves fan.
Yeah, they're my team. I don't have anybody above them, you know. Not even Duke or Carolina.
She's watching it and carrying on complaining and coaching and telling the coach that he's not doing the job right.
Sure, I holler out to him and say, why don't you get that pitcher out? There's so much I can't do anymore, and that is a therapy for me. And I think they're off to a good start this year. It's really exciting to watch them. My twin is so involved with them in her thoughts and everything because that's her main entertainment. And she and I have so much in common. We're very much alike. We get to talking and she can't understand me. I can't hear her too well. And we get way off the subject sometimes. It would be real fun to just happen to meet some of them someday. We don't want the Braves to be our idols. We want them to be our good players and, you know, bringing some happiness to people who don't have it otherwise.
Fox 54 Plus has your news, sports, and weather. Start your evening with Fox 54 at 5:30, delivering the latest headlines and live reports straight from the scene. Then, stay informed with Fox 54 News at 9, featuring your Tennessee Valley certified most accurate weather impact team, tracking everything from tornado threats to traffic delays during severe weather. Fox 54 Sports Extra brings you more of what sports fans crave, with deeper insights, expert analysis, and all the action that matters most. On Fox 54 Plus, you'll also find Alabama politics, plus 24/7 weather radar and real-time forecasts to keep you ahead of the storm. Looking for a quick recap? Don't miss Fox 54 Week in Review, highlighting the biggest stories of the week. Jumpstart your morning with Morning Rush. Fast-paced news updates featured with uplifting stories from across the globe. Get your entertainment fix with Getting Real, where we break down movie reviews, top 10 lists, and spotlight the newest film. Die Hard fan? Locked On Sports dives deep into the Crimson Tide, the Tigers, college rivalries, and pro action. True Crime Warrior Style? Killer Cases brings you gripping real-life stories that stick with you. Hungry for more? Cooking with Style serves up mouth-watering recipes that are easy to make and impossible to resist. From movie previews before you head to the theater with Take a Look to must-know headlines from across the region and around the world with In the News. Watch all of these shows on demand and also on the Fox 54 News app. Available on Android and iOS devices. Streaming 24/7.
There's more to Fox 54 Plus with the Locked On Podcast Network. From the Tide to the Tigers, from college teams to pro, the Locked On Podcast Network gives you insights and analysis you just can't find anywhere else.
These kids, they want to play.
But I don't think so. I think it was Chad Baker-Mazzara.
Locked On Sports, streaming every day of the week and right here on Fox 54 Plus.
This is what he's going to tell you.
Trying to find the first place to put a body.
No, sir. The only thing they could do was kill him.
Be the jury and to find the defendant